Hello, and welcome to the Straight to the Source podcast. I'm Tanya Barr.
And I'm Lucy Allen, and we're looking forward to taking you straight to the source of the people driving our food and hospitality industry forward.
Today we have a chef in the studio who's proving that aged care food can be anything but beige. Chef David Martin is a competition-winning powerhouse and the group executive chef of St Vincent's Aged Care. He's rewriting the rule book on what dignity, flavor, and innovation look like on a plate. Get ready. David is here to change your mind and maybe change the industry while he's at it. Hi, welcome, David.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's wonderful to have you here, and it's amazing what you've achieved to date. And what we'd like to talk about really is you have been in quite a few competitions. You have quite a culinary pedigree. And I would love to know, and I'm sure our listeners would too, is where did you train and what competitions have you been in?
Yeah, so I did my training down in Victoria. I did my trade school at Willie Manglis, my old stomping ground. I started in fine dining in hotels as an apprentice and family restaurants around Melbourne. And I went around, obviously, as you do as an apprentice, and you want to gain as much knowledge and information as possible. And from there, I was able to work with some amazing chefs, amazing groups. It was during the mid-2000s, so industry was quite different back then.
So what were some of these amazing chefs that come to mind?
Yeah, so the Rockball Group was one of them, the Langham Group as well. And then there was small mentors that weren't really famous chefs, such as, one of my early mentors was my apprentice chef, Eddie, as well as Chef David. Weren't really, famous, but I think it was the ability to really teach me from a young age. They were classically trained, so I was able to get a very classical training. So from making everything from scratch, understanding where your ingredients come from, but showing the passion through your food was very, very, very interesting, and what drew me and grew my passion for food.
And how many years ago was that?
Yeah, so I've been in the industry in total for 20 years. It was 18 to 28, heading towards your 20 years now. I started, I did my my work experience actually in a restaurant. But from a very young age, go back a little bit, I actually knew from grade 3 that I wanted to be a chef. And I often remember when I was in primary school, when my teachers would ask me what did I wanted to do when I grew older, was to become a chef. And I think that was drawn from a family that is full of love of food and culture. And, my mother was an amazing cook, or is an amazing cook. And to come home every day with a freshly cooked meal on the table and, celebrate special moments and occasions around food, I think was what truly drew me to food in general. I think watching how it draws people to one table and break fast together was something truly inspiring. And no matter what it is, whether if it's Christmas or a commiseration celebration, I think it's what food that really transitioned us together as one and brings us from a community to a family. So, I truly love that experience. And I got the chance, and I told my parents, I remember, because I was in year 9, and I said, look, I'm not really enjoying school. I wasn't bad at school, but I wasn't, I knew like I said, from a young age that I wanted to be a chef. So I told them directly, I said, look, Mum, and Dad, I really would like to leave school and follow my passion and go and truly apply myself to my trade that I want to do. And I remember my dad, because coming from a Southeast Asian family, education is one of the biggest things that you can that they really push you to do through, whether it's through university or higher education. That's what they did. But when I explained to them and I told them what I wanted to do, my dad was like, "Well, if that's what you want to do, make sure you apply yourself and become the best chef that you can be, and just never give up." And I've always carried that with me wherever I went. My dad always will play and always has played a large part of my life and my career. I always soundboard him because he's a guy who's had so much great potential, but unfortunately, because of our background and where he grew up, he wasn't given that opportunity. So I think for us, his children, his successes are through us. So I think that's very big, and I'm very grateful to bring us to Australia and to be able to achieve that what we always wanted to achieve. Yeah,
he must be very proud.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because we often talk and reminisce about how I went into the food industry, and he's watched my journey and he's guided me every step of the way. He just looks at all of us, at all of us children. I think it's one of those mum and dad's greatest achievements, and having that as mentors and it's just great to see that they've achieved so much through us. So,
and how many siblings do you have?
Yeah,
and are any of them in the food industry?
No, actually. So I've got 2 sisters and 2 other brothers. So I'm the youngest of 5. My 2 older sisters are nurses. They work in hospitals. My oldest brother is a mechanical engineer, currently working for a university down in Melbourne. My middle brother is a senior associate for one of the leading law firms in Australia. So a
lot of diversity there.
A lot of diversity, covered a lot of industries, but if I ever cut myself or injure myself, I know I'm always covered, and if I've done something wrong, my brother's there too.
And if they're hungry, you got them
That's
covered.
Right. Yeah. So I spent I moved out of home very early to do my apprenticeship. I moved in with my sister, and it was my sister Mary Lou and Jason who actually got my first jobs into the kitchen. They were very good patrons of a restaurant in the western suburbs, and they asked the owner there and if I could do my work experience, and they let me, and I think that's where I started my my true passion and journey through it. But I get my work ethic through my brother-in-law as well. He's a builder, so I used to on my time off from working in the restaurants, he would get me labouring with him. So I think I got my drive and my work ethic through that way. It was just a good way to get in. But each day was a day of learning and full of passion and endless opportunity. And I think from there, that's where learning different experiences through food trends and understanding where they come from is very big. So it's changed so much the industry as a whole.
Well, do you think, being a young apprentice, that you were seizing opportunities and you had ambition to go into fine dining at the time? Yeah,
I mean, my brother-in-law and my father always said, you don't look at the dollar figure or the money. You think about your trade as an investment into the future, and
that's a good quote.
Yeah, and,
well done.
I feel like somewhat, it's lost in some senses these days. For me, it wasn't about the money; it was about the drive and the knowledge that I knew that's what I could grapple onto, and that's what I could use later on in my life wherever I go. And working in the hospitality industry, it teaches you so much, and resilience is one of those things. So, keeping resilient through the difficult times in your life, and it's one of those ones that really refines you and shapes you as a whole, as if you work in the hospitality industry. So, it's something that I'll always look proud upon when I look back at my career.
Well, as an accomplished chef, what pulled you into the aged care sector? I mean, was it a lightning bolt moment, or was it like a slow burn?
Yeah. It was a slow burn, and I say that because of the fact that I don't always think that there was one pathway, but there was a time in my life where I've been working nearly 11 years in the hospitality industry. And I got to a point where, I knew I devoted myself somewhat to my career, and I could feel myself if I overextended too much that I would burn out. I didn't want to do that because I love what I do, but I realized the path that I was on wasn't sustainable if I wanted, a family or something else like that. And I remember the conversation actually quite vividly. And I sat down with my parents, and I said to them, I said, Mum, Dad, I've worked so long in this industry, and I've devoted everything, and I don't know whether I have much left in my tank.
And how old were you at this time?
Mid-20s.
Okay.
Mid-20s. So it was 10 years already down the path. And I said to myself, because when you work those 15, 16-hour days, grueling 7 days a week, as we know in fine dining back in those days, you get to a point where you go, a lightning burn or a lightning moment where you go, there's got to be something more and where I can apply my trade to. And I said that to my dad and my mum, and he goes, just why don't you try aged care? We have a cousin that works in aged care. And I said, aged care? Why am I going there? Can I show my skills and everything? And they're like, well, why don't you just give it a shot? Why don't you give it a shot? And I was like, okay, no worries. All right. Look, what I have to lose. So, I remember sitting down with my cousin, and then my cousin's name is Greg, and the company or the organization is no longer active, but he was under the Ality Group, which is now the Bolton Clark Group. I remember sitting there and trying to explain who I am and why I'm making this transition. And at that stage, trying to get into aged care was quite difficult. You had to have experience within the sector to be able to, run your own kitchen or, get a position. It was quietly sought after because a lot of chefs would stay in the industry and basically never leave. So the predecessor prior to me being in Camberwell Green was there in excess of 10 years. So
right.
They've known the chef for quite a long time. So change for them, change for anyone is difficult, but change for them in that age was something they've never seen before. So anyway, I put my head down. It wasn't I rode the roller coaster rides of cooking because I firmly believe they're probably our residents of the residents that I served are some of the harshest critics that you'll probably run into. And I feel that I think it was there was one moment where I sat down and it became very clear that, I could see the feeling and the meaning. And when I sat down to speak to residents about the food and how they made them feel, and I said to myself, food in aged care at the time wasn't really well known. And actually, when I told my chef friends that I was going into aged care, they actually looked at me like I was a little bit insane and I've gone senile and I'm going to retire in the aged care industry. And I said, no, I'm going to a sector that truly needs my help. And I wanted to make a big change.
So can you paint us a picture of you walking into this kitchen where clearly the chef prior to you had been there for 10 years? So people are, chefs are very set in their ways. There's systems, there's, the menu and what have you. Did you have resistance?
Yeah. I mean, change for everyone, like I said, change for everyone is a bit difficult, but especially in that age range, it's utterly difficult because they create a bond within the chef they have because you get to know them day to day, and you're there for their journey, and that's very important. The journey is very important. I speak of journey a lot because we are somewhat attached to their journey no matter what. I often say to my chefs that residents come to us in their time of the need, and we're there to answer their help. And we need to be able to provide the best care that we can, and we need to ensure that what we do and what we serve is the best that we can do, because that's realistically, and I don't want to be melodramatic about it, but that could be their last meal. So yes, it was in a sense of it was difficult in a sense of, trying to win them over. But they could see that I was a young chef trying to make a difference. And when I slowly brought down their walls and got to know them personally, and it was a moment where I could see real change, and I could really see food for a greater purpose, meaning food with a mission. And I feel that when I look at their faces and how food can make them feel during a day, it just brings so much joy to my soul. So yeah, it was. But it also comes from my cousin Greg. When I was watching him, when I was doing my buddy shifts, I could see how he controls the room and how families and residents react to his positivity.
Yep.
And that's something I said to myself. I said, I would really like to have that. I would really like to capture that in a bottle and really share that. So yeah, it was, but it was great.
I've heard you say that aged care is one of the most exciting frontiers in hospitality.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, like when we compete, a lot of the judges are getting on with their age. So I think it is the new frontier because the new generation of residents that we're serving and moving in, which is the baby boomers. So truly well-traveled residents. They understand what good food is. They've seen the world. They've seen what the cuisines are. So their palate is really refined. So we need to. We're at the forefront where the industry is adapting and changing and meeting the needs for the new generations. And it's not what aged care used to be like, it's where we're going. And I often say that it's because, yes, there has been highlighted issues in the past, but that's not who we all are. There are some providers and some people who are truly making a difference within the sector. And, we want to shine the spotlight on the good, not just the bad, because yes, there is bad. In any industry, there is always bad, but to shine the light and on the good within the sector truly will help bring up the sector as a whole. And I think that's what we need, because it's an area that we're all going to be somewhat in there sooner rather than later. In some spaces, whether if it's in home care or aged care, it's the same thing. So it is the new frontier, and we're seeing so much technique and so much drive.
Well, what's one dish you've reinvented, perhaps, for aged care that made you think, yep, we nailed it?
Yeah, so I don't know whether we can say we've ever nailed it, because as chefs, we're always picking out our own dishes.
Yeah.
But for me, it's what I'm most proud of is bringing like-minded individuals into the sector as a whole that firmly believe in our goal. And no matter how or where they end up in the sector, I'll take great pride in seeing how much they achieve and the goodness that they put through. And when we say dishes, I mean, we're working with some providers out there that are leading, whether it's small batch, butter makers, whether if it's a fishmonger to get the best seafood out there, and whether if we speak to our butcher, ensure that we're working with the best quality meats and vegetable supplies as well. I think it's very key that you're able to source unique products that hasn't been seen before and within aged care, and they're eating that as well.
Well, you're definitely pushing the boundaries, and you're proving what is possible. And what role has technology played in that?
Technology is huge. I'm a firm believer in technology and adapting to whether if it's from AI, whether if it's from equipment. One of the biggest hurdles that we wanted to try and link up in any large production, it's consistent across the board. So, working with partners like Unox with their ovens to ensure that, our cooking is all the same, programs are all the same, time frame is all the same, ingredients are the same. So you get, no matter which home you go to, the outcomes is always going to be the same. So it's very key for that. But as an industry, whether if it's grappling with staffing issues or skill, technology plays a key part to ensure bridging that gap always happens. And we as chefs must adapt to that, because that is the future. streamlining processes and understanding how IT plays a large part in kitchen technology these days is critical to be staying at the forefront of production and making sure that the output is just matching up. Yeah.
Well, texture modification often freaks chefs out.
Yep.
We make purees, but when you talk about texture modification, you seem to relish in the challenge.
Yeah. It's equality for everyone. So it is a difficult and very very hands-on technique, but equality and consistency across the board. Whatever you serve, everyone has the ability to have the same quality of food is the challenge, and that's part of the new frontier with texture modification, because there's a lot of process, there's a lot of techniques, a lot of molding involved. So a lot of competition has a lot of molding as well. So we draw on from our competitions to mold the food for the residents, to give them an experience that no matter what diet you're on, what level you are on, you're getting the same consistency across the board. Yeah.
So let's talk about these competitions.
Yeah.
How many competitions have you been in?
A fair few.
Yeah.
A fair few. But the highlights for us, I would say, we travelled to London to the International London Salon Culinaire. That was a big one. We compete at the Australian Culinary Federation, the Australian Chef of the Year. London, if I may go back to London. London for us was a journey, not just for the travel, but the meaning of the actual competition. I think for us, we were in a growth phase, and myself and Chef Harry, my 2IC right-hand man, we sat back and we planned, and we wanted to be able to showcase what we're doing, and why not, being on the international stage, but competing against some of the world's best was something that we will look back. Just when we talked about our mission and our values of St Vincent's, we look at integrity, compassion, some of the key pillars, and we wanted to really showcase that to the world, that a couple of aged care chefs in the heart of Melbourne competing against the world's best, and we took it right up to them. It was something that we'll really look back to. But I remember we were running around getting our premises around showcasing what aged care has to do, but what Australia's produce. And I'll always remember that frantic rush to try and get all the ingredients across and getting it all packed. And we flew over there, and my biggest nightmare was trying to be on the UK border force, trying to smuggle in all these ingredients from Australia. But,
do we need to edit this?
Yeah. So we got all the certifications for the things. We took like Australian caviar, and we took so salmon roe. We took native herbs.
But those wouldn't be ingredients you would have at the aged care facility.
Yeah, that's right. No, some of them we do, some of them we use.
Okay.
And some of them we're incorporating within the
competition criteria.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the biggest thing was we wanted to give a direct representation of what we're serving to the residents, to really showcase what it really means. And when we spoke to the head judges there in the UK, and we said that we work in care, and they looked at us like, what do you mean you work in care? And they said, yeah, we're from Australia and we work in aged care, and we wanted to bring our mission and our values to the forefront. And people like Bernie and Julia Lawrence, who helped us on this journey, but St Vincent's as a whole helping us with our sponsors. We knew that it was going to be the distance is one, but also a financial. But it was good in that sense. Yeah.
So, can you please explain your role and the size of St Vincent's?
Yeah. So St Vincent's is one of the largest Catholic nonprofit organisations in Australia. So mostly people know St Vincent's as St Vincent's private, public, pathology. We're the aged care side. So I look after the hotel services in Victoria and New South Wales. So I've got 10 homes nationally that I look after. So when I say I look after hotel services entail cleaning, laundry, catering. So catering is obviously my go-to because I'm from a food background. But so it is an organisation that is steeped with heritage. Our sisters and our founders touched down here in Sydney, just around the corner from the studio. And I was really entrenched in their mission and their values and what they really represent to the to Australia and to the world. They're at the forefront of really pushing the boundaries, no matter what it is, whether if it's medical or food. They're really exorbiting excellence in what we're doing. And
how long have you been there?
So I'm ticking over 5 years now.
5 years.
So it seems like a rocket ship, like I couldn't believe 5 years already. But looking back on the 5 years and what we've accomplished within that 5 years, I know there's still a lot to come. And, my team and myself are very driven to really keep pushing the boundaries. Yeah.
And so let's talk about your teams.
Yep.
Are they all from the aged care sector, or are you adding along the way? And are they too coming from competitions in fine dining?
Definitely. So let's take it back. So when I was approached to spearhead Q, because I came during the pandemic, I was approached to really spearhead and come on board around the 2021, and we all know those times in Australia, right? So Bernadette Murphy, one of my mentors in aged care and life, she's an amazing person. I worked with her in a previous life, and she's seen what I was able to do at Ality. And I didn't even realize she watched me, but she saw my capabilities and she entrusted me to drive the mission. And so she pitched the idea of what they wanted to do. They wanted to break the mold. They wanted to do something new. They wanted to be 5-star. And I said, no worries. That aligns with what I want to do. That aligns with my core values. Let's do it. So I guess we're at the point in 2021 where we're at the sweet point where, unfortunately, people in hospitality didn't have a job. They were all at home. Because of the lockdowns in Melbourne. I guess I was able to get a pool of chefs that weren't from aged care backgrounds. And I knew that was capability. I knew from the start that aged care we can train. Like I can train aged care, the standards, the requirements.
Let's talk about those standards.
Yeah, we will. We'll definitely.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to try and get, I needed the foundation of someone from hospitality that has a service background, who understands attention to detail, understands drive, understands ensuring that each plate needs to be consistently the same. So we got the net out and we found amazing diamonds. And the early people that I managed to get was Harry Shen. So he was a part of the Atlantic Group.
And he's your 2IC
today. Yeah, he's
today.
2IC, yeah. He worked for Donovan Cook at Rhine down in Melbourne, one-hatted restaurant. Indica was our founding pastry chef. He worked at Atlantis in Dubai. Amazing pastry chef.
Now, are you still looking for diamonds? Because we have a lot of chefs that listen to our podcast.
Yeah, definitely. We are. We're always looking for the next generation of chefs to come through. And I often find that, if we can attract the chefs and retain them, that is the key to making the industry better as a whole. I'm one person. But if we have many believing the same vision and have the same, ideology, I think it's very important to really drive change within the sector. And that's what it needs, right? It needs change within the sector. So we are, and if there's anyone listening to this podcast, get in touch with me or pass the details.
We'll put everything in the show notes as well.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so diamonds are one, and we had a family member, Ali, and a pair of sisters, Ali and Bianca. They had they had one of the first Italian restaurants in Melbourne on Lygon Street, and they had like 4 generations of hospitality in their blood, and literally their great grandparents and whatnot. And but finding people like them, they're gems, right? Like they stay around, they understand the vision, and they knew. They were all on the same path that I was on, and later down the track, we attracted Richie, who's an award-winning pastry chef. She worked for Delaware North, MCG, all those things, good things. So when chefs see what we're doing, they automatically get entranced, and they wonder, it's like, oh, like, why don't I try it?
So what's some of the dishes on the menu now?
So
We're in spring.
Yeah, so spring we headed down a lot of nice seafoods. We're looking at a lot of beautiful seafoods, king ora, salmon. We've got lamb, a lot of beautiful lamb on the menu at the moment. A lot of lighter dishes that we're going for. Proteins such as shir wagyu, things like that. Really, really high quality, that what you would find in a fine dining restaurant. We give that to our residents. And but desserts is another one as well. Let's just talk about. I love desserts, so our pastry chefs go all out and.
And the residents love desserts too,
yeah. I mean, we bake everything out. The focus was that, we want to try and minimize as much as we buy in. We want to try and really focus on that really ownership of trying to make everything in-house.
Yep.
It's probably not, financially,
Well, that's actually my next question. How do you balance cost with sustainability with nutrition?
Yeah, so cost is a big one. We're always debating the cost, and grateful for St Vincent's, who really truly invested in what we're doing. We're always working with the dietitians and the speech pathologists to really truly maximize the protein and making sure each bite that the residents consume meaningfully count. And that's big because as we age, we don't consume as much. So it's very important that each bite that they take, they truly consume, and they have the best mouthfeel. And it's funny because we did a stock take recently on what the most ordered product that we had, and I was like, okay, thinking it would be like, something weird, but it actually is butter. Butter is the most ordered item for 2026, which blew my mind because, we're using a lot of butter in our food and our pastry. But in saying that, the outcome is, we're using less supplements, like brought in supplements, and we're supplementing that with a food first approach, which is always great because, using great olive oil, great butters, great fats.
So you're fortifying in
Correct,
that way.
yeah. And, really bringing that hearty food, and we're fortifying it so the residents, those supplements are good in somewhat, but they do, they're not always the best tasting, but the chefs take great pride in really making a very rich food so that they enjoy themselves.
Well, looking ahead 5 or 10 years, how do you see aged care food evolving?
Yep.
And what do you think the next wave is?
Yeah, so we often do that. We often speak to our chefs, and we develop and speak about what the future holds for aged care. And I think it's very key to stay industry leaders. I think it's very important that you have a grasp on what our clientele will need. And for me and for our team, we firmly have the view that we will evolve into an a la carte dining service. And the reason for that is we feel that the new standards, which is the aged care standards, and we'll go over that a bit later, truly dictate a consumer focus, regulations. So we want to ensure that, the choice for our residents and the ability to have choice is key. Ensuring that the food is hot, fresh and vibrant is another one. So it really lends itself to having an a la carte dining service. Now, how that will work within pre-existing aged care homes is the challenge. A lot of the operations through all the homes that I've been to, whether it's from St Vincent's or whether it's any other provider that I've walked the floor, they were not geared up for an a la carte dining service. So that's probably the challenge to do that. But the outcome is less wastage, fresher food, and better dining experience overall. So I think it outweighs.
Well, I think right now is a great time to talk about the new standards.
Yeah.
Because they just went into effect. What was it, November 1st?
November 1st, yeah. So the new standards, it's just aged care strengthened standards to ensure that providers are basically doing their job and ensuring that the things that occurred in the past don't occur again. And I think
For example,
the new standards of Standard 6, which is food and hydration, before in the old standards, food and hydration fell under a separate standard, but the new standards have food and hydration in its own standard. So providers are now held liable to ensure residents and are getting the best hydration and nutrition possible, and really having culturally diverse, menu appropriate, a good dining experience, all the good things that we want to see in its full flight to try and provide the residents. But yeah, it's growing in a sense of choices need to grow. Providers need to have the chefs and the skill level involved to be able to meet this new standards, and also budgetary, because it is going to be coming down to budget as well. And I can't speak for any other provider, but I know St Vincent's do provide a lot of investment in their food and hydration space when it comes to aged care. But as demand change and their requirements change, so too does the cost of getting the food out where it needs to be. So, and that's aside from skill level and all that type of stuff. So there's still a way to go, but we're on the right path. Reform and making these standards in place is on the right path to ensure that future generations have a better service and that they're able to get good quality care here in Australia.
Well, do you find it's very competitive?
It is. When we were in London, actually, we took that as a study tour as well. We went to see what aged care is like out there, and their setup is really like a restaurant. Like they still do bulk catering, but they do have maitre d's and waiters and things like that within their actual service delivery model. But from the food sense, it is very competitive in a way that that they're trying to frame it and what they're serving and what they're providing. But I think competitiveness is great because it drives the industry forward as a whole and really lifts it up. The biggest thing for us, and I said this, when I was at the IHHC, was we want to try and lift the lower tier and lift the skill level to a level playing field, and have a subline on ensuring what is the standard that we want to produce consistently. And I think that's the biggest challenge. 5-star, yeah, we can do that. I mean, your budget is all right, skill levels are right, but we want to train the chefs that are able to. I gave them a platform and obviously help them, because they might not be able to go out and see what the world is like, or they've been in their kitchen for so long, and provide help for them as well, and help build that baseline up so that we have an even playing field, so that no matter where you go, whatever provider you go to, the food quality is the same. And that's the vision that I would love to see and do. So, yeah.
So let's talk about this new project you've been working on.
Yeah,
and it is to basically solve that problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
What's it called?
Yeah, so one plate at a time movement, but it's under DM Consulting. We've had this movement for a while. The one plate at a time movement. It's an ethos. It's a vision. It's a value, and the purpose is that we are changing the face of aged care one plate at a time. And no matter what it is, whether if it's from aged care to home care, care is one of the greatest, the biggest industries that is growing, and it's only going to grow in the next 4 to 5 to 6 years. And the biggest shortfall that we found was, and they came up to me personally, was the skill level, the process, everything like that. The chefs were asking, chef, what do you think I should do here, or how can I get around this, or how can I make these recipes for my dad at home? All questions that have and need help. I think I have a platform, and I've always been grateful that I have a platform that people listen to me, and that I advocate for change. Yeah.
Well, you are one of the leading chefs in aged care in the country. So it's wonderful that you're setting this up. Now, are you going to run workshops in Melbourne?
The whole purpose is we're building some supporters are helping us build a content creation kitchen, or a kitchen that chefs are able to come down. And the biggest thing is for me, and what my mentors taught me, knowledge should be shared. It shouldn't be hidden, because if that knowledge is gone, then it's gone forever. So for me, knowledge is very important to pass on. Mm-hmm. So I don't care if you remember my name. I don't care if you remember who I am. But if I leave a process or a thought in your mind they carry with you, it's leaving a legacy that that I'll always look back on with great fondness. So I speak to the chefs about that all the time. Passing knowledge and information is great. You need to help improve the industry as a whole. And so that's where it came from. It's that drive in the market that maybe they can't get a consultant in, or maybe it's a small carer, or a family member caring for a mum and dad at home that needs some ideas and help. That's what it's there for, to support the family members and teach them around texture modification, food safety, technique, processes for aged care, specific fortifying, and things like that. I think it's very key because the broadness of aged care catering is so massive that we all need to help to really lift the standard up across the board. And we've got providers who's reached out to help us, and Unox is one of our founding providers who are helping us build this stream. And realistically, it's just there to help the industry and the sector as a whole, and truly build the baseline. When I talked about the baseline, mm-hmm. up, and making sure that playing field is and they have the knowledge and the accessibility is free, and to them that they can able to get resources. Yeah. So
will these resources also be online?
Yep. So content creation kitchen, online videos,
fabulous.
Yeah, things like that. Guest chefs.
Real world.
Yeah.
Real world content.
That's right. Yeah, real world. And that's I think that's my point of difference. And the chefs our other chefs who believe in this vision, our point of difference is the experience had and knowledge. I think it's very key because knowing that it will work in with whatever operations that you have is very key, because if you're trying to teach something, a process that's not applicable within a kitchen that doesn't have a pastry chef, for example, then what's the purpose of it, So
what about working within your means? Because not all aged care facilities have the budget that perhaps you do.
Yep.
So what advice would you give to those kitchens?
Yeah, creative. For me, it's creative catering. See where your strengths are with your team is key. I always say, we don't want to overextend a technique or a process if our workforce doesn't have the skill set for that. So for me, understanding your team's strengths and where that lies is very key. Being smart with the budget and what you're buying in, when you're buying it in, what time are you buying it in? For example, if you're cooking to season, very key. But being at that forefront and giving them tips around that is very vital, and understanding that I knew that I couldn't go individually to coach these individuals asking for help, but if I can create a platform they can access and get the help they need, and spread that information out, I think that's very key. Sorting out that information and really giving them an easy to digest way to do that is very key, because I was never a books person. I always watched, and that's how I learned and that's how I understood. So in my content and what I want to try and push out, I want to try and give them content that's easy to digest, understanding processes and little techniques that they can take away with them. Whether if it's not the whole process or just getting a small part of it is very key. And that's what we said. As long as they remember that one part that can help them, whether if it's produced quicker, whether if it's a consistent outcome of a product, whether if it's making sure that your texture modified holds and stays for a bit of a period of time, flavor profiles, things like that. I think it's very key to get a key learning out of the content to ensure that content is beneficial for the person trying to consume it.
Well, David, if you are at home, what's one dish that you would make at home for yourself that would surprise somebody?
For me, at home, my toughest critic was my wife. So
right.
I don't cook for myself. I always cook for my family and my kids and my wife.
Yep.
So for me, I love Mexican food. I love birria, tacos. I love low and slow meats. I used to compete on the barbecue scene. Actually, side note, I was part of Dipper's Backyard Barbecue Wars. That was my first.
Right?
Yeah. Many.
Okay.
I think 2020 season 2 came runners up. Tough, but anyway. But yeah, so a lot of slower meats. For me, my R&D happens at home, and my kids have become very critical and very demanding.
Oh, they're tough critics too.
Yeah. So, and my wife, who I actually met in aged care, Caroline. I met her in aged care. She was one of the carers at Ality, so that's why I sort of really tracked into aged care as well and devoted. But yeah, separate topic altogether.
Do you see yourself ever leaving aged care?
No, I don't. I think I'm in it and devoted to the long haul. I think for me, like I said earlier, I think the cause and effect was there, and I think I saw that I'm making a greater difference. And I think
without a doubt, man.
I think that was the biggest pull. And then, to see like-minded people also achieve around me and truly get bought into the sector as a whole, I think brings a massive smile to my face. And like I said, as a leader, for me, it's always bringing up the people around me and showcasing the people around me. And I think that's very key to any leader. And I'm very proud of my team around me and what they've achieved. And I always tell them, I can't achieve what I've achieved without the help of you. And each one of you are a critical member and a critical team. And I often say, your family, once you leave, no matter where you go, I'm still there with you. I'm still a soundboard that you can ring up and ask questions. I'm still there. So, I often say to them, when I hire them, I said, why do you want to come into aged care? Because I need to get to that crux. And if it's the right crux, and if it's the right call, then I know that you can achieve great things. Mm-hmm. And no matter where you go, that's the message that you should spread. Good, positive vibes, that you are uplifting the industry as a whole and you're representing yourself, and you uphold yourself with good values, and good pedigree, and all the good things. So.
What I love is there's so many parallels between early learning and aged care.
Definitely,
and as you know, I'm involved in the early learning space and kitchens here in Sydney. And often when I'm interviewing chefs, they've come from aged care and they're coming into early learning just because they want a bit of a change, and vice versa.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And, there's interesting studies where those two are combined, early learning as well as aged care.
I think that would be gold.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. Just to see, we often have, play groups and, kids coming through, and just to see the smile on the residents' faces and the kids' faces, because sometimes those kids don't have grandparents, and just to see that intergenerational connectiveness is really heartwarming. And I feel when I take my kids into work with me, and they feel like they have an extended 130 family grandparents, so it's like they always like to go in there because they're the center of their attention. And I think
it's enriching.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And it's combating one of the biggest issues in aged care is loneliness. So I think to see that intergenerational connection is that we should have more of that. So it is exciting times in both sectors. Yeah.
Now, are you ready for some quick fire?
Yeah, definitely.
All righty. Signature dish you'd happily cook on repeat for the rest of your life.
Oh, for me, I talk about birria tacos. I love like street food.
Yep.
So birria tacos, 100%. When I do cook it, we eat it for like a week straight, which I don't think is healthy, but it's one of those ones that we love. Yeah.
Okay, your secret superpower in the kitchen.
Secret superpower. Organization. Yeah, being organized, mise en place, ensuring that you've thought about all possibilities of where it could go wrong. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you can ban one dish from an aged care menu forever. What would it be?
Oh,
just one.
Just one. Baked beans for dinner.
Residents' requests that completely won your heart.
I had a resident, her name was Jean, when I first came in, and she always requested an extra scoop of ice cream, and fairy bread was the the crust cut off, and she would light up like a little small schoolgirl every time she would consume to have it at dinner time. And if I would say, yeah, you can have an extra scoop, no worries, you don't have to ask, you just just let me know, and I'll make it for you. Just the smile on their face. Yeah.
Oh. What's your go-to chef snack?
Oh, go-to chef snack.
And you've already said taco.
Yeah, I already used the taco. Go-to chef snack. I would suggest anything. I would say anything that has high energy, high protein. That's easy to grab. So like beans. Chips like sweet jerky, especially jerky. Yeah, I'm in a phase of jerky at the moment. I guess when you get older, you learn how to smoke meat.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's where I am at the moment.
If you weren't a chef, what would you be doing?
Oh, that's really hard. I don't know. Like I often think about this, but I could never come up with a solution. So, I'm just going to go down the route my parents wanted me to say. I'd probably become a nurse or something like that for my caring nature. Yeah, so.
One word your team would use to describe your leadership style.
Family.
And the last question, worst food trend you'd happily send into exile forever.
Food trend. Wow.
And it doesn't have to be necessarily related to aged care. Just a food trend.
Oh, I don't know. I was going to say burgers originally because it's been overdone for so long, but I love a good burger and I don't want to go down that path. I don't know. That's a hard one because I love food trends. That's the issue. I'm going to go down the burger route. Yeah, the burger route. Yep.
This is our podcast. So you can answer however you want to.
Thank you.
In closing, is there something that you would like to leave in parting that maybe a misconception out there about aged care or about the hospitality industry in the aged care sector?
Yeah, so leaving. So for me, the aged care sector for as a whole, I think we all as a community need to get behind everyone who's involved within aged care. I think, we need to try and lift the industry up as a whole, and really shine the light on the good within the sector and the people in it. I think it's very key, as we know, Australia's population is aging, so we need all the support and help that we can get, whether that's through funding from the government, whether that's through support from our community, and whether that's through support from the family members who's putting parents and loved ones in care as well. I think we all need to understand, we are trying our best and we are trying to make a difference, and we might not get that always right, but I think, we wouldn't be in care if we didn't truly care for what we do. And I think for us, that will always be at the forefront of our mind. What is the best outcome for the people or the residents that we serve? And I'm just so thankful and grateful for the opportunities that I get, and to continue to spread the mission about how amazing aged care is and why we should all support it. So,
David, you're an inspiration, and we are so thankful that you've made the trek up here to come in the studio today. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening in. We really hope you enjoyed the conversation.
We would be keen to hear from you if you've got a story to share or if there's a topic we should bring into our conversations.
And a special thank you to Squizify for their support in this series, where leadership meets the future of food.